Official. Wait for a couple people to get in. What's going on, Willie? We're gonna wait for a couple more people to join in and give us some time. Hope you guys are having a very blessed Friday. What's good, boys? We're gonna talk a little Texans football. Hope you're having a blessed Friday night. I'm feeling good. What's going on, Mr. Dave? And Dave, shout out to you, man. You actually make me question my damn videos, right? Every time you comment, and you always leave a good, long, lengthy one. I gotta respond the best way I can, dude. So shout out to you, and shout out to all the people, man. Because even Matty Icy, like, y'all making me think. Not even gonna cap. Nonetheless, cheers, boys. Whenever you're drinking a brew, you always got to make sure the brew is in your non-dominant hand. I don't even know why I put it over there. A lot of news regarding Demeco Ryans today. But like I said, before I keep on going on, man, the way the past 48 hours have been for the Houston Texans have been crazy. You know, um, dropping facts about Sean Payton, absolutely. You know, it was that the Denver Broncos and Demeco Ryans were kind of a done deal yesterday, right? It was, you know, they could outbid the Houston Texans, that they are more primed for immediate success over a rebuild like what the Houston Texans are going to have to go through. And not even a day later, it's Ian Rappaport drops a fire ass tweet, and it just basically says that there is a lot of interest between the two and Demeco Ryans and the Houston Texans. And it's just a matter of when these guys are going to interview. And if the interview goes well, then Demeco is our new head coach. The lead, shout out to the lead. I invited him on. He's with this girl. He says, we're getting Demeco. So how are we celebrating? We are celebrating by coming on live, cracking open a cup of Topos or White Claws or whatever you had. I might have, many other people in this thing again. We'll just be live chopping it up. But brighter days are ahead, boys. Crazy how, things getting 24. I absolutely agree. Nathan, I was thinking about this earlier. It is anxious to see who the Houston Texans are going to get, right? It was Sean Payton. It was Ben Johnson. Now it's Demeco. Jonathan Gannon's name will always creep up in the back of your mind. And it's just a matter of what's going to happen after this game. We're all Eagles fans. We're all hoping that, they lose. So we could already start the Demeco Ryan train. Oh, how the turntables have turned. Shout out to Michael Scott in the office. Shout out to you guys who are on this live on a Friday night. Y'all have no lives just like myself. Everyone's praying we get Ryans, man. Everyone is praying. Do you think trading up for Bryce is smarter? Should we stick with Carter? That's an interesting question now that Demeco Ryans is being rumored to the Houston Texans. Do they go quarterback at 2? I don't know, right? Maybe Demeco Ryans wants a veteran. We've already heard rumblings like that already. If you were on Twitter today, if you're not following me at 713HSP, we were in a space with John Crumpler, Cole Thompson, and Patrick Storm. And Cole was convincing everyone on the Houston Texans needing to go after a veteran quarterback for Demeco Ryans, because there is potential success with the Houston Texans immediately. We got to get throwbacks, jerseys. I think the whole franchise is going to change, man. I think when Demeco comes in, we've already changed, right? There was a video today of Cal McNair in a damn monster truck. There is a video of him throwing up the H in a picture with Figgy Fig and Hannah McNair. And, you see ownership trying to win the fans back. And dare I say, they maybe are. I'm just excited to see what they are going to do. And once this Demeco Ryans hits, right, it's just gonna be okay. Who is he going to bring in on offense? While I do that, I'm gonna bring up the lead. Shout out to the lead, right? He always puts out a yearly potential staff for head coaches for the Houston Texans, and he's had to do it the past 3 years. Shout out to him. I'm gonna pull it up here in 1 second. But overall, how do you guys feel about ownership? Because I think Cal and Hannah, right? This is the first time we've seen Hannah really take a more head-on approach with this team, and might be working out kind of good. Who would you like to see replace Mills if we take Carter? Well, that gets really interesting. If you want to look at, free agents champion, we can in a little bit. Let me know if that's something you guys would like to do. I think we lose out on Young and Gary Richardson. AR-15, I think, is going to be damn good, but he is going to need a lot of time. His mechanics are not all the way there. He can't really fit it into the tight windows right now. But when you watch him, right, there's no question he could sling that thing. When he's under pressure, he's very calm. His ability to run, he's just exciting. You saw that play against LSU where he broke, I think, a 60-plus yard touchdown. There was that one play against Utah where he was immediately, under pressure, pump fakes one, gets him in the air, spins out of the other defender, then finds a Florida Gator in the back, end of the end zone. I like AR-15, but it's interesting. I do think Demeco might want to go veterans, and quite honestly, man, there's not really a lot of veterans out there. Someone, in this list, Harley puts out, someone like Anthony Lynn, former OC when he was with the Lions, former head coach of the Chargers, Wes Phillips from the Vikings, Clint Kubiak, who is the passing games coordinator and QB coach right now for the Broncos. So, do you want to bring in that Kubiak offense back to Houston, or do you want to bring in that Shanahan offense from the San Francisco 49ers? Maybe that's kind of where Demeco Ryans wants to go. For the 49ers type of offense, someone like a Bobby Slowick, who was the offensive, passing games coordinator for the 49ers right now. Demeco might bring him with them, and, this could potentially be your OC. I still don't have much faith in Cal. He's too hands off. It's been an entire different Cal than last year, right? Last year we were, this dude looked like he was hammered at every single, podium that he was at. And, it's different this year. Now you see him and his wife, Karen, you see that sense of urgency that we have talked about. And, I am excited for the future. And Matt Mars, shout out to you. Thank you for the $20. Never fair. Money Man is here, man. Like I said, you guys don't have to, don't even, man. I just like talking football with you fellas. But shout out to you. I'm gonna buy a case of beer and I'm gonna write your name on that case and I'm gonna keep it and I'm gonna hang it up right here. I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna do that, Matt. And I love beer, man. You have to shout out your brews. I love me a good Blue Moon or a Topo. Um, Matt Maher, that's who. But going back, as far as the offense for the Houston Texans, as soon as Demeco gets hired, you're going to immediately go into who is going to be on his staff. And you are just excited. Shout out to, the Houston Oilers. What is up, guys? It is a Friday night. The news about Demeco Ryans and the Houston Texans potentially being tied together, it right now, this is the hot topic. And let's go back a month when we started looking at these head coaches. Demeco Ryans was not a name that, that we thought about. He declined his last year. So did Kevin O'Connell. And flash forward to now, you ask yourself what changed, right? Why did you decline it last year, but now this year you're now the front runner to be our head coach? And then I go back to um the press conference with um with Nick Casario. Oh, uh, brighter days are fucking ahead for the Houston Texans. I am super excited. I forgot what I was literally gonna say. What is up, Texans Nation? Run heavy offense or pass heavy? You got to go run heavy when you have someone like Damian Pierce. You don't know what you are going to do at the QB position. I'm sorry, boys. I do apologize. A lot of great, exciting stuff. A lot of good, exciting stuff are coming from this channel as well. A lifelong goal of mine is finally being achieved, boys. Big things are coming. It's exciting, but potential things, right? And I like the report that said that Demeco wants to meet with Texas after his game. That's telling. Bring him in as soon as the game ends. Have the contract ready for him as soon as he steps on the plane, and bring him in that Monday morning. You have the let's say you have the press conference on a Friday. It's gonna get everyone excited, and Demeco Ryans is gonna come out here and say, let's get it going. Demeco just woke up the entire fan base. I absolutely agree. Shout out to the Brown Chubby Bear and the Texas Fan Battle podcast. They have a good thing going on. And honestly, shout out to the other, Houston, Texas content creators, Landry Locker, Cody Stutes, the lead, Texan Stodge, Jordan, man, the OGs Unfiltered and Saw Sports. It just we all need to start pumping out this great content because I feel like this is about to change, guys. I feel like the vibe, I finally feel an energy in the air as soon as I saw that tweet. And I live about 10 minutes from NRG. And it's like, I remember the days when the Houston Texans were winning. And I remember going outside and looking into the air and thinking, man, the Houston Texans need a win today. I remember not being able to sleep the night before a damn playoff game, going over all types of scenarios in my head. We are a football city. This is Houston, Texas. This is Texas in general. We are known for jail and football, but it's different when the Houston Texans win. And I know the Astros are doing their best. And shout out to the Houston Astros, man, finally finding their general manager. The Rockets are just horrible, dude. Need a new coach. But it's different when the Houston Texans are winning, right? Remember that 10-1 season? It was like you thought the Texans were going to the Super Bowl. Why is Pep still here? I hope he's gone. Maybe he goes back to his role as QB coach. You haven't heard any of the staff get fired, and maybe Demeco Ryans is gonna take a look, like a look at this list and say, "All right, I want him. I want him. You could dip." I like, the offensive line coach. I think the O line took a step forward, and um, than what it's had in a number of years, right? I think you got to go with a center and potentially a right guard in free agency. Um, Pep, Pep could go honestly, but I know his son plays here. Uh, Someone said, Ruben, you might have some traffic when you go to games if all goes well. Dude, no, I have to pass in right by energy. It sucks. But nonetheless, every time I stop by, I give it a little H-Town salute. Getting D'Amico be nice, but we still need to add a ton of talent. Absolutely. And this is the year where we finally have money, Officer Chang, right? We can now go out there and spend money in free agency. And you think about the players that maybe want to come back because of Demeco Ryans. And what about former Houston Texans coaches? What if he wants to bring former Houston Texans on this staff and kind of build a former player camaraderie on this team? I would love that. Sorry, I'm burping, man. Apologize. Ah. Facts. I miss Houston football and basketball being competitive. I do too. Um, keep our special teams head coach. Absolutely. I think Frank Ross is his name. Some consider him a potential head coach right down the line. I am excited. Don't forget HEB and Waterburger were known for that too. But man, it's just different when the Texans are winning. Like, think about the radio, right? When you listen to the radio, during the season, you didn't want to hear it, but when the Houston Texans are winning, winning is infectious. And I remember when the Astros were in the playoffs, the Rockets were in the playoffs, the Texans were in the playoffs. So that was 2017, and then the Fire Nation attacked, and now we are here where we are. Um, to be honest, I think Nick is keeping the staff on standby till the new head coach comes and evaluates and makes one decision. I absolutely agree, Max. I think if it's either Demeco, Gannon, or Steinkman right now, it looks like it's Demeco. He's gonna take a look at who we have here and make a decision. I would do a video later on and go through the list on who I think should stay, who I think should leave. But when you're a team that only won, 3 games, does anyone really deserve to keep their job here? Question. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Who am I? Just a regular person. Um, could we give 49ers, some 49ers defenders to follow him? I didn't care who their free agents are. I mean, you could definitely try, and I will have to check who are the free agents from the San Francisco 49ers because, like I said, I didn't really think there was a possibility of Demeco Ryans being on this Houston Texas team. That's why you give a shout out to Nick and Cal for, doing their best to make the Houston Texans desirable. I want D Hop back to play with this Texans team. Imagine, right, if everyone's gonna come back, you might as well bring back D Hop. But no, I think he might end up getting traded to the Patriots. He'll be the best offensive defense coach to Houston. Who say that one more time? Andre as a wide receivers coach could be lit, and JJ Watt on strength and conditioning. I mean, you saw JJ Watt enforce them, right? And then someone tweeted at JJ Watt like, have you ever thought about coaching? He definitely says something along the lines like, yes, but I know the type of strenuous job it is, and it is just as hard as being a player, right? You have to be there longer than them. And maybe straight the conditioning coach is where it's at. I think he still has his house here in Houston. But Andre, you know, I think you need Andre in the building. If you're gonna bring back a really good former Houston Texan and Demeco Ryans, and the fans are already on board with Demeco, Andre coming along with them is only gonna excite the fans even more. When the Houston Texans were unwatchable, it was Andre, and then it was Andre and Demeco until JJ Watt and Arian Foster came along. But when you're talking about that potential coaching staff and this hiring process as a whole, I think the Houston Texans have just knocked it out of the park. Who do you sign as a free agent for the Houston Texans? That is a great question. My free agency videos will be coming as soon as we hire a head coach. I don't want to jump the gun, right just yet, but you definitely need to upgrade the center position. There are a couple out there. There are some in the draft. Where the Houston Texans address them, I don't know. Right guard is very interesting because AJ can definitely, he played okay. He played decent. Do you want to get better? At the right guard position, I wouldn't mind it. Officer Chang said Garrett Bradbury, the center from the Minnesota Vikings, I would take a chance on him. He is only 25 years old. I know my boy AD doesn't like him at all. Um, on the defensive side, the trenches need to be fixed, right? Your best edge rusher this year was Jerry Hughes. Your interior defensive line was nowhere to be found. Every damn running back was having a career day against you. De'Aaron Payne is out there. The defensive tackle from the Commanders who had 10 plus sacks. Hargrave is out there, the defensive tackle from the Eagles, who also had another 10 plus sacks. And both of these guys you might have to break the bank for, but guys, nonetheless, if you want to get better results and turn those L's into W's, you got to spend money to make money. And this is the year that Nick Casario said he was going to start spending money, right? We have between 40 to 68 million dollars worth of cash space this year. And that 100 and something mil doesn't really kick in until next year. So we could still afford free agents this year and then spend heavy next year. Just It's just a matter of who the Houston Texans want to spend it on. Wide receiver, I definitely think you need to, but there really isn't none. There's Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't think any of y'all want to take a chance on him. Jacoby Myers from the Patriots is a free agent. Darius Slayton, the wide receiver from the Jets, is a free agent, or you just draft one at 12. Who else? You might need another linebacker. But overall, man, when you have money and when you have a potential new coach coming in and a potential coach that everyone is gonna like and mess with, free agents are now available to you and options to you guys. Yeah, no, man. As soon as we have to worry about a damn a coach, we got to worry about free agency because it's around spring break. What a franchise! The message being sent, come play for us and maybe eventually become our head coach. Well, remember the question at the. It wasn't really a question. It was said that no one wants to coach this Houston Texans team. A week and a half later, some people have called this job one of the most desirable. And shout out to Patrick Storm. If you want to come on, Storm, just hit me up on Twitter. I'll shoot you that link right now. We absolutely killed it in the space today. The Houston Texans fans want some news, Pat. So if you do want to come on, let's go ahead and do it. Dalton Reiser, that's what Roll Star 69 says. Yeah, he's a left guard though. So do you want to move him to right? I do think that, and I think he's been a left guard pretty much the whole time he's been in Denver. 27 years old. There was a video of him pushing his quarterback. That was absolutely funny. Let me see who else. Man, the wide receiver market is dry in free agency. It's kind of dry all around except for the O line and D line. And things give me the burps, man. What's up, gang? There's a chance we could win the division next year if we have a good offseason. I would not put anything out of the possibility. You just saw the Jacksonville Jaguars go to the playoffs. Sean Payton even said it himself that this division was not anything special, but he kind of really didn't want to say that. However, maybe Muhammad, is there immediate impact with the Houston? I'm sorry, immediate improvement with Demeco Ryans and a good free agency. Do they get some wins? We were hanging with we won our last two division games, so I don't know, but it's gonna be interesting to see. Michael Thomas to the H. I don't know, man. Let's go on. It will be interesting to see what we do with Cooks. Someone said keeping Cooks was at the end of the day really beneficial for the Houston Texans because someone is going to need his services. And it was just, what is he worth to you now? A third round pick? Because I know we could have got a second from the Dallas Cowboys if we were to actually pull the trigger at that moment. Pat Storm in the building. Absolutely. Shout out to Pat Storm. Does a great job. He has a podcast coming out. Fan with Sources. So make sure you guys check that out. If we get Demeco, what are the chances we go defense in the draft and go Derek Carr? I think the whole draft process changes for the Houston Texans if they do go Demeco Ryans, right? I think he might want to take Will Anderson or Jalen Carter at number 2. With Will Anderson, he was called the Terminator for a reason. 10 sacks in college, dominant against the run, dominant against the pass. Early this year, he was being called the number 1 overall pick in the draft. When you switch to Jalen Carter, he's an absolute monster, lifting the Oregon center with just his left hand, lifting up the LSU quarterback while holding the number 1 finger in the air. They call him the best player in the draft, man. I would not, deny that at all. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. And around Derek Carr, I did this video I think yesterday, and it was, if you're Nick Caserio and you feel like, your job really is on the line, why not take a chance on Derek Carr? Now, I'm not saying I want this dude. He's 31 years old. I already had the damn Carr experience. I want a new QB, whether it's Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. But what if Demeco wants a veteran? Would you guys like Derek Carr? When I asked yesterday, it was a consensus. Hell no. No, 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 no. But I asked the question, if you're willing to trade a first and more for Sean Payton, and some people really are, you should be willing to take a chance on someone like Derek Carr. I'm not going to, but the conversation has been brought up. It was brought up on ESPN, and who knows, man? The Houston Texans just put out a tweet. Give me 1 second. Let me see what they said. Oh no, it was the video. Cal McNair getting in that roller coaster. Like I said, they're trying to win the fan base back. I think they are. It's not the Colts are dumpster fire. The Titans are no man's land. The Jazz can be pretty good, but that's it. We can win the division, maybe be a wild card team. The possibilities are endless when you're in a division like this. I'm just excited, man. I definitely say we trade Cooks. Absolutely agree. And man, I mean, you quit on us, right? After we give you a contract, after we give you that captain on your chest, you quit, man. That's tough. And then you get the balls to ball out on the last game and make us lose the number 1 overall pick. Fuck it. That's how we go. Matt Schaub said he was only a phone call away when we asked him about if he would coach QB coach. Absolutely. I would love a Houston Texans coaching staff coming back and leading this team. Hell, TJ Yates is coaching, Shiloh Ko is coaching. Let's do it, man. Someone said, rather start Mills if you ain't taking a quarterback. All right, well, let me throw you a question, Rob. What if you take Jalen or Will at 2, and then at 12, if Anthony Richardson, AR-15, the QB from Florida, if he falls to 12 and you take him, you kind of tell Davis Mills, because you're not starting Anthony Richardson week 1, and you're telling him, hey, as soon as you mess up, we're bringing in the rookie. So try to stay out there for as long as you can. What do you think? We'll have a winning record again, 2 to 3 years, broski. 2 to 3 years. What is it looking like as far as the list? Muhammad said he wants to bring in Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker from the Bills. If you're going to overpay for someone and throw the bag at someone, absolutely. 24 years old, 25 during the offseason. De'Aaron Penn, the defensive tackle, absolutely. Like I said, 10 sacks on the season. Nate Davis is interesting, Muhammad. I was watching him all this year. Injury history, the past couple seasons. I will take a chance on him, though. Can't believe my voice fucking cracked. I would take a chance on him, though. Demeco will instantly help our young dogs on defense make that all-pro level. Last year's draft had $3 that could be a solid core for us going forward. Absolutely. Jalen Petrie, who, in my opinion, should be in the conversation for defensive rookie of the year. 5 interceptions and 140 tackles. Christian Harris, multiple games with 12, 13 plus tackles. And Derek Stingley, I questioned if the Houston Texans season is better, is he really hurt? I'm sorry, like, is he really, on the sideline? I really don't know, but there are building blocks on this team. And when you look at that 49ers defense, bro, there are dogs all over. It's not just one 49er who makes the tackle, it's the whole rest of the team, dude. It's insane how well disciplined the 49ers defense are. They don't miss tackles. They play with so much energy, and they dealt with injuries all throughout the year. The only really healthy guy was Joey Bosa, and he had 18 and a half. But other than that, you had, guys named Charles Omenihu who was starting this year, and I'm not going to get into the Charles situation, but they didn't really have a lot of people on that defensive line. What about Trey Lance, bro? Do we trade for him? I don't know, but it is interesting if you are the Houston Texans. Do you want to take a shot on someone who Demeco Ryans is familiar with? Aaron Rodgers said, I would love to come to Houston. Kyle McNair is a good friend of mine, and he often sends me hot videos of him and his good friend Jack Easterby. Well, Aaron Rodgers, if that's what it's gonna take to get you here, dude, let's go ahead and do it, man. Ayahuasca trip and all. I don't like Derek Carr as a quarterback. I don't think anyone does. Owen Daniels, tight end coach, absolutely. Regardless of who we come in, we need to get young with number 2. Our defense isn't perfect, but having a good QB with defense from last year, we would have been in the playoffs. I don't know about all that. This defense was really bad, Smokey. I could have been an opposing running back against this Houston Texans defense, and I would have put 80 yards on them. I wouldn't now. You said 80. I'm being honest. Everyone was having a career day against the Houston Texans. Everyone was averaging 4.5, 5.5, 6.5 yards. Who was it? Josh Jacobs didn't get touched until he was 7 yards, into his run. Absolutely insane. What do you think about Bryce Young training to get to 210? Would that make him for sure the locker would worry you for his game would be impacted by a dramatic change? Bryce Young, I think, should be the Houston Texans quarterback. If we would have had the number one overall pick, I would have sit here and say it is Bryce Young. There is no question about it. But since you have to live with whatever the hell is the Chicago Bears are going to do with that one, if Bryce falls to you, you take him. His size doesn't compare me. If you're worried about him taking hits and worried about him getting effed up, well, spend the money to protect them, which you are going to have draft wise, right? 2 firsts this year, 2 firsts next year, and money wise, 40 to 60 this year. And then you have that whopping 100 million plus next year. If you're worried about him, protect him. Simple as that. However, I like Bryce Young. I like CJ. I cannot go wrong with either more. Lance for Cooks, I don't know. No car, no pay, didn't bring Trey Lance. I don't know. I don't know what you guys' obsession with Trey Lance is. He just you haven't seen anything from him, and he's been hurt. Right? There's too many unknowns with Trey Lance. There is too many unknowns, and I don't want it to. And like I don't really take a risk. Jalen asked about DTs. Um, Jalen, the defensive tackle from Baylor. Let me see. When are you going to add the intro back? I might bring it back, man. Who's a good comparison of Bryce Young? I really don't know. A lot of people kind of compare him to like who Arthur Chang said and Deshaun Watson. But what stands out about Bryce Young is his IQ on the field. Very smart. He's been playing, quarterback ever since he was like 7 years old. I'm excited for Bryce Young. I'm excited for Street J. Stroud. It should as hell not be, Will Levis. I don't want that, whatever. It seems like every year there is one of these quarterbacks that is just a can't miss prospect, and it's either Bryce or Young for me. I'm sorry, Bryce or Stroud for me at 2. But if you take a chance, I mean, AR-15 is the any other quarterback that I'm like, all right, I could spend it for like a 2 to 12 on any of those 3 QBs. Let me see. But other than that, how is everyone going? 82 people in the chat today. Don't forget, I am doing a podcast, HOU versus you. I will be dropping the link down in a little bit where I also talk Rockets, talk Astros, Marvel, some anime stuff as well. Well versed in everything. Reunite Bryce Young and John Minchie, right? Absolutely. You want that duo back. I am excited for John Minchie coming back. We've heard from Casario that he looks bigger, he looks faster than what he was, than his rookie year. And it's just so many uncertainties. And it's just a matter of what and when all this stuff is going to happen. When do you think they bring in Demeco Ryans, right? Is it the Monday immediately after the game? And when do we even do the hire him? But good things are coming, man. I'm just super excited. Brown Chubby Bear, hit me up on Twitter, bro. Let's get you in here. Shout out to, like I said, the other Houston Texans content creators, man. Love you guys. Um, Damian Pierce is gonna roll over, bodies. Yeah, if Damian Pierce is here, and plays, and finishes out the season strong, he potentially has 1,000 yards. There is no question about that. Um, Let me see what else is going on. Imagine Gonzalez or Porter Jr. Corner is interesting in the draft, and Gonzalez, the corner from Morgan, and Porter Jr., the corner from Penn State. Junior is just a physical 6'2" guy, outside dude, and it's just freaking great. And Gonzalez, he just plays. I'm sorry, I was stuttering there. He just plays with so much swag and finesse. You kind of you like that, but I don't think going corner at 2 with having Stingley, with having, Steven Nelson had a fantastic year with the Houston Texans. We still have, Desmond King, so I don't think you go corner at 12, right? However, let me see. Someone said, go birds, man. Put Demeco Ryans out of his misery and send him straight to the Houston Texans. Monday morning is when we should bring in. Absolutely. Bring him in. Um, what's up, broski? Go Texans, man. Go Houston in general. I know the weather was pretty horrible the past couple of days. So shout out to you guys. It is also cold in here, here. I don't know why the weather changes every 3 hours here in Houston. Nonetheless, I think at 12, I will go wide receiver. Who will be the QB1 next year? I mean, everyone's saying it's Caleb Williams. So what if Demeco wants to bring in a veteran and see what happens with Caleb? Do you trade up for him? I don't know, man. It's interesting to all these possibilities are surrounding your head. And what's crazy is Demeco wasn't even in our mind, in our thoughts, right? Because he was someone who declined us last year. And now it's Demeco Ryans potentially being the next head coach for the Houston Texans. Let me see what Albright just tweeted. Albright has been trying to defend himself ever since, the Demeco Ryans came out, right? It was the outdo you, one better. And I want to know what happened. What happened in 24 hours? Because it seemed like it was Demeco and the Denver Broncos. It seemed like they were going to outbid the Houston Texans in any way, shape, or form. But then 24 hours later, Ian Rappaport puts out that tweet, double downs on it, puts on another one. And now everyone's looking at the Houston Texans and, Demeco Ryans being the tandem, right? You also hear that the Denver Broncos are now circling back and talking to the other people who they were interviewing. If you look at the Vegas lines, you can no longer bet on the potential head coach for the Houston Texans. It sounds like it's a done deal. It sounds like we're just waiting for the interview for them to just finally make it official and say, yep, you're the guy. Let's start this thing over. How would you guys feel if the first video that comes out is Demeco Ryans signing the contract, looking at the camera and saying, I'm bringing back the Bulls on parade? Jalen Johnson said it right here. The Broncos are desperate. Absolutely. Well, sometimes when you act too desperate, you make yourself unattractable. And right now, with the amount of with how open, not how open, with how confident Albright was, and shout out to Albright, does a great job. It's kind of like it's coming back to bite him in the butt. You see him right now just trying to defend himself all over Twitter, and it's just so quick how the next day can change. And I could come back here tomorrow and say, damn, it looks like the Denver Broncos really did outbid us, and they are now the front runners for Demeco Ryans. We don't know yet until anything is official. That's why, even though I'm freaking excited and I'm here, telling you guys that I do think it's Demeco, this stuff could all change tomorrow. However, I don't think that is the case. I do think it is going to be Demeco, but you never know until the bell was, until the bell is rang, until the whistle was blown. When is the second interview? Plus, why go to visit with Mahomes and Herbert? That's a great question. Um, when will be his second interview? At the earliest Monday, and that will be for Shane Steichman and Jonathan Gannon as well. However, with Gannon, with him losing Frank Wright to the Panthers, losing Mike Zimmer to Colorado, he's now losing his staff that made him attractable. And it's just right now, all signs point to Demeco. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. But what is going on, guys? Drop some W's in the chat. Hope you guys are having a blessed Friday night. 87 deep in here. If D'Amico, who would be your second choices? Great question and a great segue because I look at Shane Steichman, the offensive coordinator from the Philadelphia Eagles, and I see the job he did with Philip Rivers, the job he did with Justin Herbert, and the job he is doing right now with Jalen Hurts. You kind of want that, someone running your offense who three different, quarterback styles in play as he, moves up in quarterback, much more mobile and success with every single one. And at one point this season, we were all waiting and just expecting Jalen Hurts to be the MVP until he goes down with injury. And right now, it's can Shane Steichman's offense overpower Demeco Ryans' 49er defense, right? That's why this game is so interesting tomorrow because one of those guys is going to be the Houston Texans head coach. Dibin TV said Gannon might come to Houston. I'm going to shut that down and say I don't think so after the stuff today. The Texans are impressed with Broncos DC Edro Evero. Everyone has been. You look at his resume, and the crazy thing about Edro is he was on both sides of the ball. He was passing games coordinator with the Rams, and I think with the 49ers as well, he was passing games coordinator. So definitely interesting to have a head coach who has both sides of the ball. When he was with the 49ers, he met Greg Roman, Vic Fangio, and then with the Rams, he was with Sean McVay, was also the safeties head coach and I'm sorry, the secondary head coach. And we all know who they had: Jalen Ramsey, Eric Weddle, Marcus Peters, one of the best secondaries in the NFL, in my opinion, at that time. So Edro Evero comes up with, a lot of experience and a lot of good stuff he did calling plays. I do think he is 1 year away, however, from being a defensive coordinator, but shout out to the Houston Texans for once again killing the head coaching search because from Steichman to Demeco Ryans, Jonathan Gannon, even Ben Johnson at one point, who I thought was, who I wanted to be the front runner to, for the Houston Texans. What a great job he is doing with the Lions. Someone who I haven't mentioned, Mike Kafka, who interviewed with the Houston Texans after he got the dog shit beat out of him and did so good in that interview that we bring him back for a second one. And with Mike Kafka, it's interesting because he spends 5 years with the Kansas City Chiefs and he gets promoted, right? He goes offensive quality coach, quarterbacks coach, quarterbacks coach, and then passing games coordinator, right? When he was Pat Mahomes QB coach, he goes off for those 50 tutties and MVP year. And then, he gets plucked from there to be the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Even though Brian Dabble himself is an offensive minded head coach, he gave the play calling to Kafka. And you saw the type of production that the Giants were able to do. No one was expecting this from Daniel Jones or expecting anything from him at all. None of the wide receivers, from the Giants, you could say are are really good. I know Darius Slayton almost, cracked 1,000, about 200 something away. But the only bright spot on this Giants offense was Saquon Barkley. So you give credit to Mike Kafka. He's 35 years old, former quarterback. I think played 6, 7 years in the league. Was drafted by Andy Reid, then gets coached by Andy Reid. He is interesting, right? If it's not D'Amico and not Steichman, I would take Mike Kafka over Gannon, Need or ever, any other day of the week. I'm sorry, I'm checking Twitter, seeing what. Oof. A lot of stuff to goes on. Twitter is crazy. If you don't follow me on Twitter, please do at 713HSP. And like I always say, shout out to the other Houston Texans content creators. But boys, how are you feeling about this Demeco Ryan news? And what do you think it means for the city and for the players going forward? And honestly, I haven't really talked about the players. We know they're excited, right? We heard Jerry Hughes say that they are excited to see who is the next head coach going to be. And when Demeco Ryans was interviewed, you saw so many people like to post on Instagram, so many people, say this is exactly who we should try to get. And then you heard that the interview went great. And then you heard you know, that he might want to be a Houston Texan. And then you hear the stuff today. You hear Ian Rappaport just come out of nowhere and dear God, and and it just looks like it's just a matter of time before it happens. But with that being said, we got about 9 minutes left in the stream, boys. 11 minutes left in the stream. It definitely is a Friday night. Don't want to hold any of you people, or if you guys want me to keep on going, let me keep on going. Um, just super excited, man, for stuff to go on for the Houston Texans. 45 minutes. And like I already put Stephen A trying to call, the Houston Texans aren't racist, man. I hate that narrative. D'Amico is coming. I absolutely agree. And when he's coming, y'all better be watching because I am going to be talking all these smack. And let's be honest, dude. The damn disrespect that not even just the Texans get, but Houston sports get in general. And it was a lot of things could happen with the hiring of D'Amico, and I really mean that. I feel like once he is hired, if he is hired, with that being said, brighter days, immediate improvement. You're gonna see the media start to look at the Houston Texans a little bit differently, and then it's just all systems go. I don't want to sit here and say we're gonna go to the playoffs as soon, as soon as next year, but you look at the way they did this coaching, this coaching hire, and they've put out all the stops. What are they going to do in free agency? Because I really don't want them to spend like the Jaguars did and give 80 mil to to Christian Kirk and spend hella money on 4 year Louis Khan. Shout out to 4 year Louis Khan. I wanted him on the Houston Texans last year. If they go aggressive in free agency, and like I said, Nick Casario said this, that 2023 is the year you can start being a little bit aggressive. And give me 1 second while I pull this stuff up, and I'll share the screen a little bit here. And 1 second, boys. 1 second. Let me know who was the first position group you guys want to see and take a look at free agents. Give me one moment. Absolutely, we are here now. Let me boom exit. When you look at the QBs, right? Let's just play devil's advocate, right? Let's just say that the Houston Texans do in fact want to go quarterback. Do you want to bring in Tom Brady? This free agent class this year is not really that, that good. Baker Mayfield, I think he stays with the Rams. Sam Darnold, no. Jimmy G, if Demeco Ryans is coming, does he bring in, Jimmy Garoppolo? Definitely don't know. But other than that, I mean, any of these QBs, I really don't see the Houston Texans really taking a chance on. Um, it's not there. It's not there. And when you move to the defensive tackle spot, which is somewhere I think the Houston Texans need to spend their most time looking to invest, right? You see here Fletcher Cox, 32 years old, a little too old, still solid. He's gonna probably end up staying with the Philly. Javon Hargrave, you see that here, 11 sacks, very good against the run, very good against the pass. I have the PFF. I'm not gonna pull it up just yet because I didn't even expect to do this, But since we are talking about potential free agents for the Houston Texans, dude, stuff gets really interesting. Another guy who was, who I want to take a look at is, Shy Tuttle from the New Orleans Saints. De'Aaron Payne, 12 sacks with the Washington Commanders. You can't afford to leave him one on one. 25 years old. You're going to have to overpay for him. and he is one that I am fine with. When you move to a wide receiver, man, none of these guys really you could say I want to bring in, right? Julio Jones, no. Alan Lazard, no. Jacoby Myers is definitely interesting. 804 yards with the pass this year, 6 tutties. Juju Smith-Schuster, maybe he goes back to the Chiefs. 933 yards, 3 touchdowns, in the regular season. But other than that, I'm not really seeing a lot of really guys I want to bring in free agency wise from the wide receivers. This is a very slow year and not a year that has a lot of talent, in my opinion. So that's why maybe you want to go to the draft and everything like that. Um, we will win 10. Where's y'all overrating these teams? I don't know, man. But I think the Houston Texans need to address the defensive line. I definitely think they need to address the offensive line, guard and center, especially in my opinion. Isaac Suamalo, the right guard from the Philadelphia Eagles, is a damn good player. Would be excited for the Houston Texans to take a chance on him. Someone else, Evan Brown, the guard from the Lions. Edmund, like I said, All Might just said it himself. Shout out to All Might protecting us. Haven't started the recent season of My Hero Academia, but I definitely will when the dub comes out. I just get too high to be able to pay attention and read and stuff like that. But once we find out who the next head coach is for the Houston Texans, that's when you can get a better grasp of free agency and know who will be the best fit. Because let's be honest, Demeco, Shane Steichman, Gannon, each and every single one of these guys will have different type of prospects that they want to bring in. They still need to get used to the system. Absolutely agree. Maybe a safety to take over for Owens. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe you do need to tie someone on the long side of Jalen Patriot. Maybe even, draft one. But nonetheless, guys, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. We are H-Town 2. We drawn over here. Shout out to everyone who watched this stream, who've been watching on year. You guys have a very blessed day, and y'all stay safe this night and this weekend, guys.